Hey, it's Chris, the Supply Chain Doctor, bringing you the Supply Chain Minute. At the Supply Chain Doctor, we're on a mission to help people pursuing any of the APICS certification or credentials to increase their chances of passing the exam and becoming a better supply chain professional. We're trying to give back a little bit. Today, I'm coming from the beach, again in Northwest Florida. You can see here, this is a Lake Powell that I've talked about before. This is kind of the south end of Lake Powell. Lake Powell is a dune lake that basically, I'll turn around here, connects to the coast, or the Gulf. I'm sorry, you can see how it kind of creates a little river behind me, and it runs up to the Gulf there. What's interesting is this lake will sometimes flow basically into the Gulf, and sometimes the Gulf saltwater flows into the lake, really depending on tidal movements and how much rainfall we have in the area. What else is interesting is this river, it's behind me, it basically changes the flow every day. So every day is going to be a different style, a different shape. And what frequently happens, well, twice a year, back there where you can see where it's open now and it runs into the Gulf, that will be completely closed off with sand. And it's about twice a year, and then they have to call the county, and the county comes out and re-dredges this to open it up, especially because it creates a flooding hazard for all the homes that are on Lake Powell itself. Sometimes you can't cross. I don't know if you see anybody back there. You can cross. It's shallow. Cross the channel, or what they call the outfall. And when you get over there, you can get into. There's a lake. Camp Helen is back there. I don't know if you can see people there walking. You can go over to Camp Helen. It's a Florida State Park. There's access there. There's nice trails. One of the interesting things about Camp Helen, I met one of the park rangers. His name is Iron Wolf, IRONWOLF. So if you have an opportunity, come check this out. Check out Camp Helen while you're down there. It's a beautiful area. Today's concept is cross-selling, and cross-selling is relevant and important to the CSCP exam, but not really relevant at all for CLTD and CPIM. Just to give you an understanding, it's more about selling, it's more about the customer relationship management. But cross-selling is a concept that is very much related to the customer relationship management strategy that we've been talking about in other sessions. And the idea is really just providing better service and better value for your customers. I'll read here, the ASCM dictionary defines cross-selling as a practice that occurs when customers buy additional products or services after, and I'm adding this part, or during the initial sale. So you might have imagined it's really a value-added service. So the more you know about your customers through your customer relationship management, the more you can offer cross-selling opportunities. So basically, if you think about when you're buying something and someone offers you a complimentary product or a service, that's a part of cross-selling. Think about when you buy shoes, for example. This is a real simple example. You go to the store, you buy running shoes. If it's a higher end store, they might also say, hey, why don't you, if you're that interested in running, why don't you buy these nice socks that really help your cushion, help the running, whatever you have. So that's basically a form of a cross sale. Also related is the concept of upsell. Upsell is a related term, but it's not really relevant to any exams. It's just nice to know. Upselling would be, again, if it's providing value to the customer. It's when they say, okay, I'm buying my shoes now, and then the salesperson says, well, you might want to think about getting these shoes waterproofed or something, or getting some insoles or something like that. It's important to understand that these concepts are very applicable as long as customers view you as providing them with additional value. So that's the important part of the CRM. Once you know their buying habits, you know what they want, you have a relationship with them, you understand the value propositions, you can start offering them these more upsell or cross-sell opportunities. You might also see upselling or cross-selling on Amazon. When I buy things on Amazon, before I check out, I'll always get the message or the picture of other customers that bought this product also bought these things. So think about, that's more of an automated cross-sell, but it is, as long as I think it's valuable, I'm okay with it. As soon as I start seeing it as being salesy, then maybe I'm not so excited. So today, the key point with cross-selling is it's a part of a customer relationship management strategy, and it's especially helpful if the customer sees you as providing them additional value. Let's walk through a few example questions to help reinforce your learning and allow me to share general test-taking rules of thumb. Cross-selling is relevant and important to anyone pursuing the CSCP certification. It is not relevant and not important to CLTD, and it is not relevant and not important to CPIM. Let's start by reviewing the definition of cross-selling. Cross-selling is a practice that occurs when customers buy additional products or services after the initial purchase. If you recall back in the definition, I said maybe you can also include during the purchase. It really depends on the relationship you have. If you're a one-time buyer, the cross-sell occurs during the initial purchase. If you're a long-term relationship, maybe a business-to-business buyer, it's probably going to be more of a long-term. After the initial purchase, they're going to come back and try to sell you some more things. We'll talk about these next. Joe is shopping for a high-tech mountain bike at a sporting goods store. The salesperson shows him several bicycles, and Joe chooses the BIC model. While finalizing the sale, the salesperson also shows Joe a very comfortable helmet that Joe ends up buying. What technique did the salesperson use? We've been talking about basically two concepts here, cross-selling and upselling. So we can go 50-50 here. I think it's going to go, we could eliminate convincing and eliminate intimidation and go with cross-selling, upselling. So if you look at that from a strategy standpoint, we eliminated two answers, and that gets me down to the 50-50 approach I said earlier. Also, if you look at it, the APICS questions and exams questions typically prefer happy, optimistic, forward, customer-centric concepts and terms. To me, convincing and intimidation are kind of negative, so I would discount those as well. If you understand when Joe buys a complementary product in this situation, the concept is cross-selling. Next question. Lance is shopping for a high-tech mountain bike at a sporting goods store. The salesperson shows him several bicycles, and Lance chooses the BIKE model. The salesperson then shares additional information about another more expensive bike and explains how the other bike is better. What technique is the salesperson using? In this case, I'm honing in on more expensive bike. And again, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Upselling and cross-selling are the terms we were thinking about. Convincing and intimidation are the negative terms that I would avoid. So in this case, because he had a bike in mind that he wanted, he buys the salesperson tries to get him into another bike. Maybe it's a better components, a more expensive bike, which says it is. That's a concept of upselling. Two more questions. Furniture retailers often use cross-selling. What is an example of cross-selling? A, when a consumer buys a bed, the salesperson also sells her a nightstand. Also sells a nightstand. I like that one. When a consumer buys the mattress in one outlet and the bed frame in another outlet. I don't think where you're buying has much to do with anything, so it's really not a concept we discussed. When a consumer selects a desk for $500, but the salesperson convinces them to buy the $300 desk. Well, that's actually a downsell as opposed to an upsell. You had a sell for $500, you convinced them to do it for $300. A different product. And also the thing is the convincing here. I don't like the word convincing. Last definition, when the salesperson orders furniture from more than one manufacturer. It doesn't really matter where the product is ordered from a consumer standpoint or a buyer's standpoint. So, and then also the salesperson is probably not ordering the furniture, so I don't care where it comes from. So in this case, we're going to go with when the consumer buys a bed, the salesperson also sells her a nightstand, so a complementary product. And last question, if you're working as a customer success manager, cross-selling can be helpful if A, you clearly understand your customer's needs, the customer views you as a trusted advisor, C, you can articulate the value the customer will receive using another solution and product, or all the above. If you recall back to what I described earlier about the role of a customer success manager, specifically in supply chains, it's about clearly understanding your customer's needs and becoming a trusted advisor for them. That's A and B. Then C, where you can articulate additional value that they're going to receive as a consumer or as the buyer. So the answer will be all the above. I hope this helps you better understand cross-selling as a supply chain concept and improves your confidence in becoming a better supply chain professional.